Imagine this. You're walking down a road, no cameras, no cheers, no applause. It's just you. The cold wind hits your face, your muscles ache, your mind is screaming at you to quit, but you keep going, quietly, steadily, no spotlight, no one watching, no one clapping. And then one day, boom, the world turns its head. People start whispering, where did they come from? Who is this person? How did they do that? You didn't do it for the attention. You didn't need to announce your every move. You didn't need to post it, tweet it, tag it. You just worked in silence because deep down, you knew something that most people never figure out. The loudest one in the room isn't the most dangerous. The quiet one is. The one you ignored. The one you laughed at. The one you said wouldn't make it. They were too busy becoming what others only talked about. You don't need noise to be a storm. You don't need followers to be a leader. And you don't need validation to create transformation. While they were showing off, you were showing up. While they were partying, you were planning. While they were scrolling, you were building. And now the game is different. Now they look confused. Now they want to know your secret. But here's the truth. The secret was always silence. Silence gave you the space to grow. Silence protected your dream from their doubt. Silence made sure your roots were strong before your name ever reached the air. Because success, real, undeniable, world-shaking success, it doesn't shout, it shows up. And when it does, it shocks everybody. Now tell me something. Are you ready to be silent long enough to be heard forever? Let's talk about it. Most people are afraid of silence. They avoid it. They run from it. In today's world, noise is the currency of value. We're taught to announce everything. Our moves, our plans, our meals, our moods, just to prove we exist. But let me tell you something. Most will never understand. Silence is not weakness. Silence is power. Think about it. A seed doesn't scream when it grows. The most important part of its journey happens underground, in complete darkness. No one sees it. No one celebrates it. But deep in the soil, that seed is gathering strength, anchoring its roots, preparing to break through the surface. And when it does, it doesn't whisper. It stands tall. This is how true greatness is built. Not in the spotlight, but in solitude. Not in the noise, but in the quiet places where no one is watching and no one is clapping. You see, when you learn to be comfortable in the silence, when you learn to trust the process even when there's no praise, you unlock a version of yourself that doesn't need to perform. You just produce. The world has confused attention with achievement. It praises the loudest voice in the room, the flashiest post, the biggest claim. But look closer. That noise, it's often covering up insecurity. It's a mask. People want to be seen more than they want to be skilled. But silence is the training ground of mastery. It's where discipline is born. It's where character is tested. It's where confidence is built without applause. See, when you work in silence, you don't need to keep up an image. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're not performing. You're practicing. You're refining. And when you show up, you don't have to prove yourself. The results speak so loud, they drown out every doubter, every hater, every "you'll never make it" that was thrown your way. Silence is also your shield, because when nobody sees what you're working on, nobody can sabotage it. They can't laugh at what they don't know. They can't shoot at a target they can't see. Some dreams are too fragile to be shared too early. Some visions need to be protected, nurtured in private, until they're strong enough to face the world. And let's be real, when you're building something real, something legendary, there's going to be a time when it feels like no one understands you. That's okay. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it because something inside you is restless, hungry. You can feel that your name belongs in rooms you haven't entered yet. You can feel that your voice matters even if it hasn't been heard yet. So you grind in silence. Silence forces you to rely on your inner voice, not the opinions of others. It teaches you to find motivation within, not from validation without. And that's rare, because we live in a world where everyone wants to be seen, but few are willing to be overlooked while they prepare. Everyone wants to shine, but few are willing to polish themselves in the dark. I want you to remember something. Some of the most powerful moves ever made in history started with silence. Revolutions began with whispers. Giants were born in shadows. Legends trained when the world was asleep. They weren't focused on attention, they were focused on alignment. They weren't chasing fame, they were chasing fulfillment. And when they finally spoke, when they finally moved, when they finally arrived on the scene, they didn't just impress people, they shocked them. That's the power of silence. It allows you to develop in peace, so you can deliver with power. While others are caught up in proving something to the world, you're becoming someone the world can't ignore. While they're performing for the now, you're preparing for the forever. So if you're grinding right now and no one sees you, good. If you're working on your dream and nobody's clapping, perfect. That means you're in the right place. That means you're in the phase that most people quit during the invisible season. The silent hustle. That's where legends are made. One day, people are going to ask where you came from. They'll say you appeared out of nowhere. They'll say you're an overnight success. Let them. Don't waste energy explaining your journey. Don't look back to prove anything. Keep moving. Keep building. Let them wonder. Let them talk. Because silence isn't just where you build your skills. It's where you build your story. And when the time comes when your work is ready, when you step out of the shadows and into the light, don't say a word. Just let your results do the talking. Because that's what real power does. It doesn't announce itself. It arrives. There's something nobody can take from you. Not your background, not your circumstances, not your appearance, not your education. Something so pure, so raw, so universal, that it levels the playing field no matter where you started or who you are. That something is hard work. Hard work is the ultimate equalizer. You see, in life, you may not have the same advantages as the next person. You may not have the best connections. You may not have the wealth, the perfect body, the perfect voice, or the most impressive resume. You might have been counted out from the beginning, underestimated, overlooked, even laughed at. But none of that matters when you embrace the one thing that separates dreamers from doers, the grind. The grind doesn't care where you came from. It only cares how much you're willing to give, how much you're willing to sacrifice, how deep you're willing to dig when everything in you says quit. Because while talent may open the door and luck might give you a moment, only hard work will keep you in the room. People will try to convince you there's a shortcut, that there's an easier way, a hack, a trick. But the truth, there is no substitute for showing up every day and putting in the work. Day after day, week after week, year after year. The ones who rise to the top aren't always the smartest. They're not always the most gifted, but they are always the ones who refuse to stop. You can't fake discipline. You can't cheat consistency. You can't out-talk your work ethic. At some point, everyone has to step into the arena and prove they want it, not with their words, with their effort, with their focus, with their repetition. That's what separates potential from performance. You want to know why hard work is the equalizer? Because it doesn't care how far behind you are. It only cares if you're willing to catch up. You might have started late, but if you're willing to stay up when others sleep, if you're willing to learn when others relax, if you're willing to keep pushing when others settle, you will close the gap. There's power in knowing that nobody can stop you from working hard. They can doubt you, but they can't make you quit. They can judge you, but they can't stop your progress. They can ignore you, but they can't erase the results you're building with every step you take. Think about it. We admire athletes not just for their skill, but for their stories. The hours they put in before sunrise, the sacrifices they made when the lights were off, the time they spent in the gym when everyone else was at the party. That's what makes champions. It's not just what they do in the spotlight. It's what they're willing to do in the dark. Same goes for artists, entrepreneurs, leaders, inventors. The ones who change the game are not the ones who chase comfort. They are the ones who chase progress. Every single day. They understand that effort compounds, that while 1 hour of work might seem small, 1,000 hours of focused effort transforms you. It changes your confidence, your ability, your entire life. Hard work doesn't just shape your results. It shapes your identity. It teaches you that you are not fragile, that you can do hard things, that you can get through setbacks and still stand tall. It teaches you that you don't have to be a genius to succeed. You just have to be relentless. Because life isn't fair. That's the truth. Some people are born with more opportunities, more advantages. But hard work doesn't ask if life is fair. It asks what you're willing to do about it. It gives you a fighting chance. And if you keep showing up, if you keep improving, if you stay hungry, your name will be known, your impact will be felt. And here's the beautiful part. When you work hard, people can't deny your results. They might hate, they might criticize, they might doubt. But when the scoreboard lights up, when the project is done, when the work is undeniable, they have to respect it because hard work speaks louder than opinions. Now you've got a choice. You can complain about what you don't have, or you can get to work and build something so powerful that nobody can ignore you. You can wait for someone to give you a chance, or you can become so good they regret ever overlooking you. You can hope for a break, or you can become the break. Let others talk, let others flash, let others pose. You stay in motion, you stay in the lab, you keep showing up, you keep putting in the work, because while they sleep, you're stacking hours. While they rest, you're refining your skills. While they wish, you're working. And one day you'll look up and they'll be behind you. Not because you were lucky, not because someone gave you the keys, but because you earned it with sweat, with effort, with sacrifice, with hunger. You earned it because when they were looking for the easy way out, you were building the hard way up. So if you feel like the odds are against you, good. That means hard work is your weapon. And trust me, there's no better weapon than that. The grind is lonely. That's not a side effect of the journey. That's the requirement. It's supposed to be that way. Because when you're building something real, when you're chasing a vision that most people can't see, the path is not going to be crowded. It's not meant to be. There's a quiet that comes when you decide to truly commit to something bigger than yourself. Not the kind of commitment you post about to get likes, but the kind that lives deep in your chest. The kind that wakes you up early and keeps you up late. The kind that pulls you away from the crowd, from the distractions, from the comfort. You start to notice that while others are out there having fun, you're in your room grinding. While they're laughing and relaxing, you're tightening your focus. While they're scrolling, you're studying. While they're resting, you're working. And it's lonely. Not everyone will understand why you've changed. You'll lose people. Friends will start saying, you've been distant. Family might ask, why don't you just take it easy? And deep down, part of you wants to explain, but the truth is, they won't get it. Not yet, because they're not wired like you. They don't feel what you feel. They haven't seen the vision you've seen. They don't understand what it costs to level up. Because leveling up requires isolation. The grind strips you bare. It takes away your excuses, your comforts, your safety nets. It forces you to confront your flaws and weaknesses. When you're alone in the early morning, facing the work, there's no one to impress, no one to lean on, no one to blame. It's just you and the grind, you and the truth. That kind of solitude is tough. It tests your will. There are days when you'll question yourself, days when you'll feel like no progress is being made, days when you wonder if it's all worth it. And those are the days that matter most, because that's where resilience is built. That's where greatness is forged. In silence, in struggle, in self-doubt, overcome by self-discipline. Most people want the results, but can't handle the silence. They need attention. They need validation. They need company. So they quit when it gets lonely. They fall back into the crowd because it's easier to be accepted than it is to be alone. But understand this, the grind doesn't reward popularity. It rewards perseverance. There is a season in every journey where your phone stops ringing, where nobody checks on you, where your wins go unnoticed, where your growth is invisible. That's not a punishment. It's preparation. Life is teaching you how to move without needing applause, how to lead yourself when nobody's watching, how to stay consistent when nobody is clapping for you. And that's the point. Because if you can keep going when it's just you, imagine what you'll do when the momentum finally kicks in. Imagine how unstoppable you'll be when the results start to show, when the world starts paying attention, when the sacrifices begin to make sense. You'll be grounded. You'll be solid. You won't need the noise because you've already done the work in the quiet. Let's be honest. This isn't glamorous. There are no filters for lonely nights and tired mornings. No fanfare for showing up day after day when no one notices. But those are the moments that define your character. Not the awards, not the highlights, but the nights you wanted to quit and didn't. The days you felt empty but still gave your best. The times you cried in silence and then got back up anyway. This is where you separate from the average. This is where you build something that can't be shaken. Because once you've gone through the lonely grind, once you've learned to push forward without support, you develop a fire that doesn't go out. You become self-sufficient. You become mentally bulletproof. You stop waiting for people to believe in you. You believe in yourself. And when the world finally catches on, when they start to ask how you did it, you won't need to explain. The results will be too loud. The silence will have done its job. So if you're in that season right now, the quiet one, the lonely one, the invisible one, don't run from it. Embrace it. This is where the greats are made. This is where you earn the right to be seen later by disappearing now. Trust that the work you do in the dark will shine in the light. Trust that the silence will one day be the reason they remember your name. And above all, don't try to fill the silence. Learn to sit in it. Learn to grow in it. Learn to let it refine you. Because one day, the very thing that makes you feel alone now will be the reason you stand alone later. That's the grind. That's the cost. That's the point. You don't have to announce every move you make. You don't have to explain your dreams to everyone. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Because if you do the work, if you stay focused, if you commit to the process with everything you've got, the results will speak. And when they do, they won't just whisper. They'll shout. This world is filled with people who love to talk. They talk about what they're going to do. They talk about how big their dreams are. They talk about what they plan to become. But talk is cheap. Words are easy. Saying it doesn't make it real. Execution does. Action does. And most of all, results do. You see, there's something powerful about a person who doesn't say much but delivers big. That kind of energy hits different. That kind of energy doesn't need to be loud because the outcome makes all the noise necessary. When people see the transformation in your life, the success, the growth, the breakthroughs, they'll have no choice but to respect it. Even if they don't like you, they'll have to acknowledge what you've done. You don't need to defend yourself against doubters. You don't need to clap back at critics. Let them underestimate you. Let them laugh. Let them assume you're not capable. Because while they're watching, you're working. While they're talking, you're building. And the day will come when your results will silence every voice that ever spoke against you. You know why results matter more than talk? Because results are proof. You can't fake them. You can't manipulate them. You can't pretend your way into them. Results come from sacrifice, from late nights and early mornings, from discipline, from consistency, from grinding when no one is watching. They come from the times you chose focus over fun, vision over validation, purpose over popularity. And the beautiful part, results speak in every language. They cross all boundaries. They make people pay attention whether they want to or not. You don't have to beg people to see you when you're producing undeniable outcomes. You don't have to scream for recognition when your work commands respect. You don't need applause when your success becomes too loud to ignore. Some people are waiting for the world to give them permission to rise, waiting for support, for followers, for someone to say, now's your time. But that's not how this works. Your time comes when you've earned it. Your time comes when your results show up before you do, when your reputation for being excellent travels ahead of you. That's real power. That's influence. And it doesn't come from hype. It comes from consistency. There will be moments when people don't believe in you. That's okay. They're not supposed to. That's your job. You have to believe so deeply in your own vision that you're willing to walk alone with it. You have to be willing to carry the weight of your potential without needing someone else to lighten the load. And if you do that long enough, the results will start stacking, quietly at first, then loudly, then suddenly. And when they do, the same people who ignored you will study you. The same people who doubted you will quote you. The same people who didn't believe in you will ask for advice. Not because you convinced them, but because your results did. You let your work speak on your behalf, and it delivered a message louder than words ever could. That's the real win, not the applause, not the attention, but the ability to look back and say, I did this, I built this, I earned this. No shortcuts, no handouts, just effort, just faith, just relentless commitment to getting better every single day. So don't be discouraged if no one's noticing you right now. Don't be bitter if you're not getting the credit yet. Keep going, keep refining, keep producing, because when your results finally hit the surface, When your moment arrives, it will be so obvious, so undeniable, that even your silence will sound like thunder. And when that happens, you won't need to say, "I told you so." You'll just walk in the room, and the room will already know. That's the power of results. Let them speak. And trust me, they'll shout. There's a fire inside of you, not the kind that burns for recognition, not the kind that needs the crowd, but the kind that wants more for your life, the kind that knows deep down you're not meant to stay where you are. That fire doesn't need approval. It doesn't need applause. It needs fuel. And that fuel is your why, not theirs. Yours. You were not put on this earth just to fit in. You were not built to play it small. You were not designed to be a background character in your own story. Deep inside, you've always known you're meant to shock the world, but not for likes, not for attention, not to rub it in anybody's face. You do it because you owe it to yourself. It starts there. When you begin grinding, truly grinding, you realize it's not about proving anyone wrong. That's not enough. That fire fades, because proving people wrong is still about them. What happens when they stop watching? What happens when they don't care anymore? What happens when you finally get that "I told you so" moment and it doesn't change how you feel inside? That's why you don't do it for revenge. You do it for respect. Your own. You shock the world because you know what it took to get here. You know the days you wanted to quit but didn't. You know the battles you fought when no one else saw. You remember what it felt like to be at your lowest, to doubt yourself, to want to give up. And you remember the voice inside you, quiet but unshakable, that said, "Keep going." You owe everything to that version of you, the one who had nothing but the will to continue. So when you rise, when you make it out, when you break through, you're not doing it to get even. You're doing it because you've already been through hell and decided to build a heaven anyway. You're doing it because you deserve to see the other side of your own effort. And yes, you'll shock people. You'll confuse them. They'll wonder how you did it. They'll try to rewrite your story like they were always on your side. But you'll know the truth. You made this happen brick by brick, step by step, when no one else saw the blueprint but you. That's why it's so important to stay grounded. If you make it about attention, you'll chase popularity and lose purpose. If you make it about applause, you'll dance for approval and never move with power. But if you make it about fulfilling the promise you made to yourself, you become unstoppable, because no setback can steal your why. No critic can steal your clarity. No failure can steal your fight. You shock the world not by screaming your greatness, but by becoming it, quietly, steadily, fully. And when that transformation becomes visible, when the work you've done in private shows up in public, people will swear you came out of nowhere. They won't understand the nights you sacrificed, the pain you endured, the doubts you silenced. They won't see the parts of you that broke in silence just to come back stronger. They'll only see the version of you that walked out of the storm, head high, eyes clear, purpose unshaken. But you'll know. You'll know this version of you wasn't born in the spotlight. It was born in the shadows. It was born when you kept your head down and your heart up. It was born when you chose discipline over distraction. It was born when you trained, when you worked, when you failed, when you tried again, when you refused to quit. That's what built you. And when the world sees it, let them be shocked. Let them be stunned. Let them ask questions. Let them scramble to figure out how you did it. But don't get caught up in explaining. You don't owe them a story. You owe yourself the finish line. Let your results talk. Let your success echo. Let your work be the megaphone. And when the world finally hears what you've been building, when your name is spoken in rooms you once only dreamed of entering, walk in with pride, but walk in for you. Because that's the highest level. When the world claps, but you don't need the noise. When you stand tall, not because they said you could, but because you decided you would. This journey was never about shocking the world to impress them. It was about rising so high that the version of you who once settled, who once doubted, who once feared, finally sees who you were meant to be. You did this. So when the world turns their head and says, "Wow, I never saw that coming," smile quietly, because you did. And that's all that ever mattered. Now hear this. You don't need to shout to be remembered. You don't need a stage to be great. You don't need their approval to rise. Because the real power, it lives in your work ethic, your discipline, your commitment to the grind, even when no one's watching. Let them doubt you. Let them talk. Let them overlook you. While they do that, you keep showing up. You keep building in silence. You keep sharpening your mind, your craft, your soul, brick by brick, rep by rep, step by step. Because when the dust settles and the noise fades, only one thing remains standing: results. And yours will shake the ground. This isn't about proving them wrong anymore. This is about proving yourself right. About looking in the mirror and saying, I kept going when I could have quit. I stayed true when it got hard. I bet on myself, and I won. So stay quiet, stay focused, stay dangerous. Because when you rise, and you will, you won't need to announce a thing. The world will hear you anyway. Let your silence build the pressure. Let your results cause the explosion. Shock them all, but do it for you.